So we're very fortunate today to have Edith Vonnegut with us. She is a painter. Her work brings together heavenly beings, heroic women, and glorified mundane activities. She exhibited in galleries across the United States and has 2 books published, Domestic Goddesses and a children's book, Nora's Tale, and has also written 3 plays. She was contributing illustrator to the Franklin Mint Press and a contributing illustrator to the New York Times op-ed page. She was awarded a Massachusetts Artist Foundation Fellowship, an Award of Excellence, and for editorial illustration from the Illustration Annual. Edie was raised in Barnstable and Osterville, which you will hear about, left at 17 to seek fame and fortune, and returned 20 years later to raise a family. She lives in a barn beside the house she grew up with her husband. She has 2 sons and 3 grandsons, and it's so awesome to welcome back the next generation of the Vonnegut family to the Osterville Village Library. So welcome, Edith.
I have to stand on this because I'm super short. Oh, thank you, Cindy. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I have these notes. This is an extraordinary library, and I thank the staff for making it happen for me. And I'll talk a little bit about Osterville. I first came to Osterville when I was 2 years old. My father had quit his job at General Electric as a copywriter in Schenectady, New York, to try to make it as a writer. We lived in a little ranch house on Crystal Lake Road, which is no longer there, having been torn down and replaced with a much bigger house. So it goes. I remember being fascinated with the pollywogs in Crystal Lake, and I remember falling out of the back of our station wagon on OVL Avenue when I was 4, back before car seats and safety belts. My father was driving. My mother was not there, obviously. He took me to his little writing office here in town, above what's now the Osterville package store, to clean me up. I fell on my face. I was not badly hurt, but I had a scab on my nose that is very visible in all the photos taken during that time. I remember him putting me on his desk and wiping my face with a warm cloth. And I have a very fond memory of this because I had his total attention, and he was making a huge deal over me. And I'd never seen a look like that on an adult face of, oh my God, it was a beautiful memory for me. And as it turns out, someone else was in that car, which I had forgotten, and she's here now. Mary, she tumbled out of the car too. I didn't realize that, but we weren't hurt. No, but that's a great memory, and that's pretty much the only memory I have. And pollywogs in Crystal Lake. So when I was 5, we moved to Barnstable Village. I left when I was 18 and returned when I was 34 to make a family and to make these paintings. I'm going to explain a little bit of how I got here. This work that I've made is about protecting the planet and how I got here. My paintings are loaded with overt, obvious messages. In the distant past, images were used to illustrate passages in the Bible, to glorify war and specific people and so forth, in essence, propaganda. My work is trying to establish new stories where the women are not so demeaned and are actually important and brave, and to expose the ravaging and poisoning of our planet. I'm an unabashed, content-loaded illustrator, painter, trying to knock down what I object to and to glorify what I deem worthy of majestic representation. I believe that images can change the world. Our eyeballs are connected to the deepest part of our brain, where we see influences and thoughts, often subconsciously. We need images to help us have hope and vision. Unfortunately, our eyes have been having a banquet of empty calories in the form of advertising. As the natural world is slowly getting gobbled up, we need an antidote to the consumer siren song. New allegories, new images to inspire us to act with integrity and give us strength and to stop buying so much stuff. I aspire to paint like the Renaissance masters as if they were living in the 21st century. How would Titian have painted a plastic happy face bag? How would Bernini have sculpted derelict fishing line embedded in a seal's neck? Would Da Vinci spend hours capturing every little cellophane wrapper and cigarette butt in the parking lot? How would Rembrandt have handled polyester shirts and identification badges? Would Botticelli have painted the overflowing trash cans? The litter of the day back then was completely organic and would melt back into the earth with a little time. Today, that bottle of water that you carry will be here in 100 years, long after you're gone. How would Velasquez have handled a red straw jutting out of a flattened plastic Dunkin' Donut top? The foreshortening would be fantastic. Of all of them, I think Michelangelo would have tackled the tragedy of the earth drowning in non-biodegradable waste and plundering of the planet. Goya, of course, would have gone overboard with the horror of it. Would Rubens lovingly portray glistening tiny bottles of booze nips littering our beaches like pearls on a taffeta gown? I have a friend who has 2 daughters I've been painting for years. One day he said he loved that I painted his girls, but could I please put his daughters in less catastrophic situations? I think I'm going to lay off these catastrophic paintings for a while now because it's endless and depressing, and I'm going to relax into soothing paintings of beautiful things to soothe my nerves and hopefully everybody else's nerves. The most famous painting in the world is the Mona Lisa. It is just a woman and not even a fancy royal woman. So I'm going to be just painting women from now, and maybe deer. Nothing, this is the end. I've done it. So I also want to talk a little bit about my father because he's relevant to all this. He has been ringing the alarm bells about the environment earlier than anyone I can think of. He once said that he thought he would wake up one day and all the fish in the ocean would be dead. In 1969 interview, we had the Great Lakes disappear under Clorox bottles and excrement. 52 years ago, on May 11th, 1970, he spoke at the very first Earth Day in New York City. I love especially what he says here because it is so simple. This is the best thing I think he said for me to live by. He says, as an ordinary person, appalled as I am by the speed with which we are wrecking our topsoil, our drinking water, and our atmosphere, I will suggest an idea about good and evil which might fit into a modern and simple moral code. Might we not say that anything which wounds the planet is evil, and anything which preserves it or heals it is good? I just love that. And so now my slideshow, which I'm going to show you my paintings. I hope you understand what they mean because of my little explanation of what I'm trying to do. When I left New York and came back to Cape Cod to start a family, I was pretty sure my life as an artist was over. But I found majesty in the mundane as a common housewife and mother. When I had my children, 2 boys to be exact, I found my strongest voice. They brought out in me the fiercest protect them at any cost instincts that I didn't know I had. I specialized in over-the-top heroic paintings of women maintaining their households and caring for their children. Because I, for the first time, became aware of what women before me had done with no national acclaim or barely any recognition, I felt this laying down of one's life for others to be clearly heroic. I was so humbled by the drudgery of child rearing and relentless domestic chores that I felt a need to honor this station in life with empowering allegories. This is titled Action Figures. It was for me mainly that I needed these images, but also for all the women coming up and the ones who had gone before. I specialized in over-the-top paintings of women protecting their children. So yes, I had my women do impossible things. This is entitled Sunblock. I took it to over-the-top heroics. I had to, for my morale. This is titled Four-Wheel Drive. Of course, this never actually happened, but neither did this happen. Napoleon was chubby and squat and had to ride side saddle to cross the Alps due to chronic hemorrhoids. True. He must have loved to be portrayed like this for all of time. So I thought, why can't I take the lives of ordinary women and portray them with the same heroics as Napoleon? He was no more important than them. Even if we're just vacuuming, especially if we're just vacuuming because we need moral support for these eternally repetitive, thankless chores that take up our lives. Getting the dust balls from under the bed, getting the dust balls from under the bed is just as worthy of majestic representation as crossing the Alps to make war, or doing the dishes. Even taking out the garbage has dignity and honor, and most of all, necessity. Yes, it's true, these are hyperbolic metaphors, but you get the picture. And why not? And then all of a sudden, my babies grew big enough to carry themselves around and tie their own shoelaces. And I was left all souped up with a fierce instinct to protect the defenseless and helpless. Looking around to see what else was helpless and in need of protection, I saw the ruthless exploiting and spoiling of the planet. So I turned my attention to the natural world, which seemed to need some defending. This is titled Saving the Sapling. I got upset by all the clear cutting of forests, dislodging creatures and birds. Are trees only valuable if they're killed and cut down? And needlessly destroying the pristine fields of Cape Cod. Why can't we leave anything alone? Why does everything have to get turned into something man-made? Whoop, top of her head's gone. Where are the critters supposed to go? Is land only valuable if it can be cut up and sold? This is titled The Last Crop Will Be Asphalt. I have a thing against plastic six-pack rings. Fortunately, they've introduced a new law to forbid them. This is mermaid cotton plastic six-pack ring with wind turbines. This is mermaid with red-winged blackbirds caught in plastic six-pack ring. As you can see, they have become a motif for me. I can't wait to not see them anymore. I'm against single-use plastics of all kinds. The use of plastics began slowly in the 1950s and has been getting worse every year. California is suing Exxon for hiding the truth about recycling from the public and promoting more single-use plastic in everything because it takes oil to make plastic. The oil industry has been promoting the use of plastic relentlessly for the last 60 years because it is profitable for them. Only 9% of plastic is recycled. I'm overall heartbroken by the way we are trashing the oceans and the land. 50 years ago, everything was biodegradable. Since 1960, plastics production has surged almost 100-fold. The weight of all plastic ever produced is now greater than all land and marine animals combined. On top of that, more than half of plastic products are designed to be used just once. One piece of plastic will last 50 to 100 years, and once discarded, plastic hangs around for centuries, breaking into ever smaller particles that spread far and wide and can carry toxic substances. These microplastics have been found in drinking water, in table salt, in rainfall, and recently in human blood. This is titled, Have a Nice Day. Does anyone ever feel like they're having a nice day by seeing these words on a plastic bag? These bags make me have a very bad day. Not to mention the other things that make me have a bad day. The entanglement and death that is caused by ghost fishing nets. I also have a problem with the burning of fossil fuels, which lead to elevated water levels and oil spills and catastrophic floods and hurricanes. And the melting polar ice caps, melting at breakneck speeds. Do we really mean to leave them nothing? On the bright side, I actually have tremendous faith and hope that one day, eventually, through innovation, common sense, and decent humanity, we just can't see that gigantic mother angel woman leading us out of this mess. So on the up note, that's the end of my little talk. Thank you for listening. Anyone have any questions? I remember when Masburg used to do the environment. It seems, why isn't Masburg getting involved in the environment anymore? It seemed like the last time I checked Masburg, it was all about college books. I don't know what they're doing now, but they used to be a strong advocate for the environment. I'm wondering why is it? Yeah, it's funny because I keep thinking my only job, the only weapon I have is my paintbrush, the only thing. And there are people, this is their career, is to help the planet. And where are they? I'd like to know too. Do I have to stop painting and go after these people and light a fire? Some of them come instantly. Like this one, I did in a day. There's nothing in it. Some of them I've been working on for 10, 12, 15 years. I mean, some of the young girls that I painted as babies have now graduated from Harvard and are lawyers. So, and I'm still working on the painting. Yeah, and I'll just look at, and when something doesn't bother me anymore, that's when I stop working on it. Hey.
I was someone just experienced tales of Osterville Village that you did. And I just wondered if
I would love to do a play again because painting is so lonely. You're all alone.
what you did for Osterville Village would be
Could you get it together and I'll put it on? I would love to. And so my husband, because he's a musician, he's the band, and I exploit my whole family and make them sing and dance. And
It's so neat.
thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Which, right, what? You mean about the love letters? Oh, I'm making a new play. It's about horseshoe crabs saving the world. And it has mermaids in it. Who was talking about mermaids? Yeah, so I like to write. I love theater as much as painting, but you need more people to do it. And you just need a bigger crowd, but I love to do it. John, would you be up for another play? Yeah. I have another one in the can. So, yeah, the painting, I tell you, I do my best painting on Cape Cod because I love the salt marshes and the beauty, and it's just where I really came alive. And I did think in New York I had to never have children because none of the female painters I knew had children. Mary Cassatt, Artemisia, so many. And the ones today, a lot of them don't have children. But for me, I found my voice. I'm just going up a different channel, and I'm happy with it.
Use your artwork. I know this artwork here and the size is there. Do you have other sizes or cards or things that people can buy also, or is it just the one thing?
One thing I'm awful at is business, really bad. But I do. I have a ton of paintings. I have a ton of cards. I have a ton of posters. And I should probably let people know that they can come and see them if they want. I have a barn. It's my husband's barn. He lets me use the upstairs. And people could come by anytime and look. It's not like open. There's no sign on the road. But honestly, if anyone from here wanted to come over, I encourage that.
How do you stay inspired? Something allow you to get yourself to do that. Do you ever have blocks? You don't want to see paintbrush yet.
I'm about to have a really big block, I think. I'm thinking I'm going to be blocked because I've painted everything I can about what upsets me. And for a long time, that was it, and then I did a whole series of essential workers, like during the COVID, I just went to Burger King and took a picture of a beautiful woman there working. I said, I'm going to paint her like she's the Mona Lisa. No one's paying her. She's not royalty. I mean, I'm not being paid to paint her. And I ended up with 15 of those paintings. I had a show of those in Provincetown. So that was inspiring. What? Oh, and then the other inspiring thing, when Trump was elected and people with presidencies, they usually say the first 100 days, his first 100 days or, so much to pay attention to. I said, well, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to do a painting a day during his first 100 days, having to do with what he's doing. And I did. It made me almost insane to get up. But I didn't paint when he went golfing or went to Mar-a-Lago. So I only ended up with 63 paintings, which was great. I said, oh, God, thank God. And I did post that on my website and I did on Instagram. I was posting. And every day he did something to me that was so alarming, like allowing mercury back in the air and wetlands allowing, just every day there was something. So that was exciting. And now I just want to paint pretty things. And I want to paint, where's Jess? I want to paint the woman who helped me up here. Just sit still. You don't have to do anything, just your face. I want to do Mona Lisa's. So that's my new inspiration. Hmm?
Have you gone to see them?
Yes, I have.
How close to you? Oh,
Well,
front
well, it's on the wall,
row.
right? So I think I was like that.
There were a lot of people.
Yeah, but of all the paintings, I don't think actually that should be the most famous painting in the world. I think Botticelli's Birth of Venus is the most perfect painting. But there's too much going on. People just can't. They need a little simple painting. I don't know. Every inch of that Botticelli is perfect. Every wave is like a bit of lace. It's just exquisite. But no, I'm in love with the Renaissance. I've never moved out. Though I appreciate art today. I like a lot of modern art. But I'm still addicted to the Renaissance. And I see how Da Vinci drew a plane on a cheek, and I try to do it. It's all. But I'm in the handicapped Olympics. I'll never get there. I know what I'm capable of. I need another life to come back to get that.
Your father's thing. How did that play into your upbringing and your career?
Well, he didn't get famous till I was 19 in 1969. So we didn't have money. We had to take in his 4 nephews, who their parents died pretty much together. So all of a sudden we're a family of 9 with no money. And he hadn't really been published or recognized. And he had been writing short stories for Look when they were doing that, Cosmopolitan. And that dried up. No one was doing that. So it came like an explosion, 1969, when he did Slaughterhouse-Five. So I feel like I wasn't raised spoiled. I feel sorry for kids who are raised with too much. Yes?
Her real career.
When?
Her career really took off.
Oh,
Really.
yes. Good thing he's here to make me remember my life. Yeah, when I lived in New York, I worked for a designer, clothing designer, and he worked like a dog. I didn't care about the fashion industry, but I was his main person to go out. His name was Giorgio Santangelo, and he was as big as Calvin Klein. He's since died. I loved him. But you'd have to do 4 shows a year. You'd have to do spring, fall, cruise, and figure out hemlines and new fabrics. And you'd send me out for find me the best buttons in the world. And I'd have to go out and find his buttons. And he had a great work ethic. So I think Giorgio, in fashion, gave me my work ethic. And then one day I thought, I don't want to go find mother of pearl buttons anymore. I should be painting. And so I had worked for him for 4 years during the 70s. Yeah, I did start. I had shows in New York, but back then I do what's in front of me. And I did angels in subways, naked angels in subways holding fish bowls. They were pretty good, right, Paul? They were pretty good. Or it was all in New York City.
You're is a choreographer in Minnesota.